I told you that Genesis just completely changed the game. Because right now, in 2027, there is an SUV sitting on the road that is making Range Rover nervous, making Bentley uncomfortable, and making every single luxury buyer in America stop and ask, wait, what is that? That is the 2027 Genesis G-100 SUV. And today, we are giving you the very first look. Now, before we get into everything, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because we cover the best in luxury automotive, and trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming in this video. Alright, let's talk about this thing. Genesis has been quietly building something. For years, people in America looked at Genesis and said, okay, it is a nice car, solid value, good warranty. But is it truly luxury? Is it in the same conversation as a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, a Bentley Bentayga, a Range Rover SV? Well, Genesis heard all of that, and the G-100 is their answer. This is not an upgrade. This is not a refresh. This is Genesis walking into the room, setting everything on the table, and saying we are done playing it safe. The G-100 is their flagship, their absolute top of the line, and from the moment you see it in person, you understand that something is genuinely different here. The exterior design is breathtaking. Genesis took their signature two-line lighting concept and evolved it into something that feels almost architectural. The front end is wide, confident, and aggressive without being loud. The roofline flows perfectly into a rear that feels planted and powerful. This SUV does not look like it is trying to be anything. It looks like it simply is. Standing at nearly 200 inches in length, the G-100 commands presence. It is big, it is bold, but it never feels excessive. Every panel, every crease, every design element looks intentional. And the paint options Genesis is offering on this vehicle, we will get into those details. But just know that some of the exclusive finishes on the G-100 are genuinely unlike anything you have seen on a production SUV at any price point. Now here is what is wild. We are just getting started. Because the outside of the G-100, as stunning as it is almost secondary once you step inside. And the technology and performance numbers under that hood. Now let's get into what really sets the 2027 Genesis G-100 apart from everything else on the market right now. Let's start inside. Because the moment you open that door, you are stepping into a completely different world. Genesis calls the interior philosophy of the G-100 white space luxury, and what that means is that they deliberately removed the clutter. No overwhelming screens everywhere, no buttons stacked on top of buttons. Instead, what you get is this incredibly calm, intentional cabin that feels more like a private lounge than a vehicle interior. The seats, and I need you to hear this, the seats in the G-100 are 24-way adjustable, with multi-zone heating, cooling, and a massage function that Genesis developed specifically for long highway drives. If you are doing regular trips between cities, or you are simply someone who spends a lot of time in your vehicle, these seats are going to change your standard completely. The rear passenger experience deserves its own conversation. Genesis built the G-100 with the rear occupants in mind just as much as the driver. You get individual climate zones, deployable footrests, reclining rear seats that go nearly flat, and a dedicated rear entertainment system with screens that actually disappear into the headliner when you do not need them. Clean, seamless, elegant. Now let's talk about the tech. The G-100 runs on Genesis's newest infotainment platform, and it is fast. We are talking near instant response times, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a heads-up display that projects navigation and speed information across a wide band, directly in your sightline. The system learns your preferences over time and genuinely adapts to how you drive and what you use most. The driver assistance suite on the G-100 is also one of the most complete packages available in any luxury SUV right now. Highway driving assist, lane centering, automatic lane changing, remote smart parking, and a surround view monitor system that gives you a fully three-dimensional view of everything around the vehicle. Now, performance. The G-100 launches with two powertrain options. The standard configuration is a twin turbocharged V8 producing 510 horsepower. The performance variant steps that up to a fully electrified hybrid powertrain delivering 630 combined horsepower with a 0 to 60 time of just under 4 seconds. In an SUV of this size and this level of refinement, Those numbers are genuinely impressive. And the ride quality matches everything else. Smooth, controlled, and completely composed at any speed. But here is the big question everyone is asking. What does all of this actually cost? And how does it stack up against the competition? All right. This is the part everyone has been waiting for. Pricing, competition, and the final verdict on the 2027 Genesis G-100 SUV. Let's start with the number that matters most. The 2027 Genesis G-100 starts at $149,000 for the standard twin-turbocharged V8 configuration. The performance hybrid variant comes in at $179,000, fully loaded with every available option. Now I know what some of you are thinking. That is a serious amount of money. And you are right, it is. But here is the context you need to hear before you make any judgment. A base Range Rover SV starts at around $230,000. A Bentley Bentayga starts at around $220,000. A Rolls-Royce Cullinan starts at around $350,000. And in many cases, the features and technology that Genesis is including as standard on the G100 are things those brands charge extra for as options. So when you look at it that way, Genesis is not just competing. Genesis is undercutting the entire segment while delivering a product that genuinely belongs in that conversation. And that is what makes the G100 so significant for the American luxury market specifically. American buyers have always wanted the prestige and the refinement of ultra-luxury European SUVs, but the value proposition has always been a barrier for most people. Genesis is essentially opening that door wider. You get the craftsmanship, the technology, the performance, and the presence at a price point that is meaningfully lower than the traditional competition. Now, is the G100 perfect? Nothing is. Some buyers will still want that European badge on the hood. Some will argue that Genesis needs more time to fully establish itself at this price level. Those are fair points. Brand heritage is real, and Genesis knows they are still building that story in America. But here is what I will say without hesitation. If you park a 2027 Genesis G100 next to a Range Rover SV, next to a Bentayga, next to anything in that segment, and you walk around all of them without looking at the badges, the G100 holds its own completely. In some areas it wins. The 2027 Genesis G100 is not a promise of what Genesis could become. It is a statement of what Genesis already is. The new king of luxury SUVs? You tell me in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more luxury automotive content, and we will see you in the next one.